This is the Bank Nifty daily charts. As you can see, a big red candle formed today. Last couple of days, the market has been coming down. Yesterday, it touched its 20-day moving average. Let's kind of see how today went. So, as yesterday, it market went down, made this amazing comeback. This trend line was something that we were trying to look at whether the market would kindly respect this or not. Now, um, today what ended up happening was the market opened up at 37,277. It closed yesterday at 37,235. Straddle yesterday closed at 1057 and opened up around 1047. Now this is not for this week, this is for the 30th. um, that's what we've been sort of buying and selling our options in that week's expiry and not the current week's expiry. It's giving us a much wider range to play with. Now, today, what ended up happening was the market opened up relatively flat. This big red candle in the morning was formed, broke this trend line, and we wanted to see what would happen around this 36,900 level. Essentially, it's from here where the markets made some big moves, came back, broke, came back again. So we wanted to see what would happen around the 36,900 levels. Around 9:30 or so, when I was looking at the option chains, it was saying that lots of the calls were written at 38,000, 37,200, and there was some build up happening around 37,500. So there was a lot of potential resistance kicking in. And on the put side, everything was written around 37,000. Nothing below, nothing less. So it seemed like, at least for the first half of the day, the market would be range bound between 37 and 37,200 based on the option chains, with a lot of resistance on the upper side. So what we ended up doing is we ended up selling some calls, and we wanted to see if we were right, if that would break, if these 36,900 odd levels would hold. So we basically just had those opened, and when we were seeing reversals, with not great confirmations, we kind of just held on to those positions through the day, getting some decay at the end of the day and eventually closing our positions for the day. But this is what was interesting. Let me take you to the 1 hour chart. Sorry. Once these candles were formed, this is a trend line that I started noticing for today. If I take these two, let me just stretch it. So if I take this trend line, um, yeah, around here. So this is what we were looking at in the hourly chart, saying that okay, can it break this range? So our 37,400 was looking like a sort of very strong resistance, and if it broke that, it's got 38,000 potentially inside. So we were kind of keeping an eye on this, but the market was unable to break that, consistently making lower highs, lower lows all the way pretty much through the day. So that's kind of what was one of the signs. Even in the 15-minute chart, the same structure was getting formed. So you can see when we take that high, touching candles, and it's unable to break these levels, and it kept taking support around this 36,900 odd levels. Now that's kind of how we are played it today. We waited, it was very range bound. We basically had only calls in, didn't get a great opportunity to write any puts. So we waited, got some decay, and ended closed our accounts building on yesterday's profit. Now, for tomorrow is another interesting day. If I go to the daily charts, the market's definitely looking downwards. 37,400 is looking like a solid resistance based on today's charts. If I look at the 15-minute charts, we've got a couple of resistance around 36,600. But if I were, and the market is at 36,900, that's 300 points. That's a big jump. So one of the things that I am doing is, instead of this now, typically look at this big hourly candle formed. I am looking at about 50% of this hourly candle. It potentially plays as some form of resistance. So I'm looking at around 36,850, 36,800 odd levels. Let's see what the market does in the first hour or so, where if it kind of breaks, say 37 odd thousand, and potentially breaks this downward candles in the morning itself. Let's see what the market does around 37,000, whether it will break, move up, see what happens around 36.4, or will this downward sort of momentum continue tomorrow. It'll take some resistance around 37 odd thousands and continue downwards. Um, that's kind of what we're looking at. We're going to keep an eye out on 36,850 odd levels just to see whether the market can take some support here and potentially move forward, or will it just break and come all the way down to potentially 36,600 levels. Again, we don't have any more positions in play. News that's there is US Fed rates are kicking in. Everybody's trying to keep an eye out on that and understand what will happen over there. So maybe that will shift or have some effect on the market opening up gap down or gap up tomorrow. So we don't know. Because of that, we've closed our positions, waiting to see how that announcement can potentially affect us. As of right now, SGX index is trading, 0.5% up, which potentially can mean about 300%, 300 points moving up, which means it can potentially open around 37,200. Um, US markets are trading higher. We don't know whether this will actually impact us. Only we'll figure out in the morning. So that's why we closed our positions. We're waiting to see what will happen tomorrow and work around our positions so we can build and end the week in profit.